Have you ever noticed how some people start acting strangely the moment you begin walking in your truth? How they suddenly become distant, uneasy, or even hostile, and you can't quite understand why? Let me tell you something. This is not a coincidence. This message has found you at the perfect divine moment. And if you're listening right now, it means you are one of God's chosen ones. If you're not, you won't feel aligned with these words. And that's perfectly fine, because this message isn't meant for everyone. It's meant for those whose spirits are awakening, whose eyes are opening to the real battle behind the scenes. Chosen one, this message is sacred. The truths I'm about to share will change the way you see yourself, your enemies, and the energy that moves around you. The reason you've been misunderstood, attacked, and isolated is not because you're cursed, but because you carry divine truth. That truth disturbs their illusions. So before we go deeper, I want you to pause and declare your alignment. Comment 777 below if you know this message is meant for you. And don't forget to subscribe, tap the bell icon, and share this word with another chosen one who needs to hear it right now. Stay with me till the end, because what's coming next will explain why they're losing their sanity over your truth, the energy of truth, why the world reacts to you. Chosen one, you carry something the world can't easily explain. A vibration that shakes illusions and breaks falsehoods without you even trying. When you walk into a room, energy shifts. People may smile, but their spirit stirs. Some feel peace around you, while others feel agitation. Not because of who you are, but because of what you carry. The truth within you confronts everything false within them. See, truth is not just words, it's energy. A living frequency from the Most High. It doesn't need to shout or prove itself. It simply is. When you live in alignment with divine truth, you automatically expose the lies others depend on to feel comfortable. The world has built its peace on illusions, on masks, on control, but your very presence threatens that illusion. That's why sometimes people can't stand your silence. Your calmness irritates their chaos. Your light exposes their darkness, and that drives them uneasy. You might wonder, why do I attract so many strange reactions? It's because your spirit carries a higher resonance. The divine within you reminds them of the truth they've forgotten, that there's something greater than this world's games and greed. Deep down, they recognize the light of God in you, but instead of embracing it, they resist it. Resistance turns into jealousy. Jealousy turns into confusion. Confusion turns into hate. But here's what you need to understand. Their reaction is proof of your assignment. You were never sent to blend in. You were sent to reveal. Every time someone's energy shifts around you, heaven confirms your purpose. You are the signal, not the static. Their discomfort is a response to divine energy colliding with deception. They can't decode you because you're not operating on their frequency. Don't be surprised when people try to label you as different, too intense, or too spiritual. They're not describing your flaw. They're exposing their limitation. What they call too much is actually your divine authenticity. The truth in you shakes up their false sense of security. You're not meant to fit in their broken system. You're meant to break it with your presence. Sometimes your silence speaks louder than any sermon. People can't manipulate you the way they manipulate others because you see through energy, not words. You discern spirits, and that's what makes them nervous. They know you know. You see beyond their smiles, beyond their pretenses, beyond the spiritual masks. That awareness makes them feel exposed. And exposure feels like danger to those hiding behind lies. Chosen one, the truth you carry is ancient. It's the same energy that prophets carried, the same light that broke through darkness. You may not be holding a pulpit or a platform, but your daily life preaches. Every choice you make, every boundary you set, every act of love and strength, it sends a signal to the spiritual realm that truth is still alive. But here's the cost. When you hold truth, you become a threat. Not because you seek war, but because truth naturally confronts falsehood. Some people are not ready to face themselves. When you walk in integrity, it reminds them of the compromises they've made. When you stand tall, it reminds them where they bowed to fear. When you speak truth, it challenges their comfort. And so they begin to react, subtly or openly. They gossip, they distance, they misjudge. They may even twist your intentions. But all this happens because your light irritates their shadow. You are not cursed, you are called. Let me remind you, the same truth that offends them is the same truth that will free them if they ever choose to face it. Don't water down your message just to be accepted. Don't shrink your light so others can feel at ease in darkness. When you walk in truth, you walk with heaven's authority. You were chosen not to conform, but to transform. Understand this deeply. Truth carries power. It is not soft, it is not neutral, and it is not always comfortable. That's why those who live in lies can't stay sane around someone anchored in truth. They begin to unravel because their mask can't survive in your presence. You don't even have to say a word. Your energy alone testifies. So hold your peace, stand firm, and remember, their reaction is not rejection, it's revelation. The world cannot handle what it refuses to understand. Keep walking in truth and watch how God uses your energy to shake everything false around you. They may lose their composure, but you will gain deeper clarity. Because where there is divine truth, confusion must flee. Stay tuned, chosen one, because next we'll talk about why your presence acts like a mirror, and why the very reflection of who you are makes them confront what they fear most. The mirror effect. You reflect what they fear. Chosen one. Have you ever noticed how people project their own darkness onto you? How they accuse you of things you never did, or twist your kindness into something suspicious? That's not random. That's the mirror effect. When divine light lives inside of you, it doesn't just shine outward. It reflects back everything around you. You have become a spiritual mirror, revealing what others try to hide, even from themselves. When they look at you, they don't just see your face. They see their own reflection. Your energy exposes the truth of who they are, and for some, that's unbearable. It's not that they hate you personally. They hate the version of themselves they see through you. The purity of your heart reveals the impurity in theirs. Your honesty exposes their deception. Your strength makes their weakness undeniable. You remind them of what they buried deep: the guilt, the shame, the envy, the lies they told to survive. See, darkness doesn't hate the light because it's bright. It hates the light because it cannot hide in it. You, chosen one, carry that light, the same divine flame that makes hidden things visible. You're not trying to expose anyone, yet your spirit does it naturally. That's why they say you make them uncomfortable. That's why they act defensive around you. It's not your words, it's your vibration. You are the mirror God uses to help others see themselves clearly. And for some people, seeing themselves truthfully feels like judgment, even when you've said nothing at all. Your presence is conviction. The way you move, the way you speak truth without apology, it reminds them of what they could have been if they had chosen righteousness instead of comfort. But here's the wisdom, chosen one. Never internalize their reactions. Don't take it personally when they gossip, mock, or walk away. They're not fighting you. They're wrestling with their own reflection. The mirror doesn't create the ugliness. It simply reveals it. When you stand in your truth, you force them to confront their shadow. And most people aren't ready for that. They'd rather destroy the mirror than face what's inside of them. This is why so many chosen ones experience betrayal from people they've loved, helped, or prayed for. You were genuine and they couldn't handle it. Your sincerity was like a spotlight in a dark room, and instead of being grateful for the light, they grew resentful of it. But remember, even Jesus was rejected by those he came to save. The truth is not always celebrated. It's often crucified. So what should you do when people project their pain onto you? Stay centered, stay calm. Don't fight their illusions. Let the mirror do its work. You don't need to prove your innocence to those determined to misunderstand you. God sees your heart, and that's enough. The more you try to explain spiritual truth to those still living in deception, the more they'll twist your words. Some people must first break before they can understand. Chosen one, you carry divine reflection. That's a sacred responsibility. You are not here to please. You are here to awaken. Every time your light reflects their darkness, it's an invitation from the universe for them to heal. But healing requires honesty, and not everyone is ready to face that level of truth. So instead, they lash out. They gossip, they slander, they lie, but deep inside they know. Your light told the truth. Have you ever had someone suddenly dislike you for no reason? That's the mirror. Have you ever noticed someone copying your ideas, your energy, your words, then turning against you? That's the mirror too. Imitation mixed with resentment. They admire the reflection but despise the reminder that it didn't come from them. You become a reflection of what they wish they could be, pure, aligned, and untouchable. And this is where your wisdom must grow. Don't get angry. Don't return hate for hate. Instead, recognize a spiritual lesson. Mirrors don't chase approval. They just reflect. Stay in your light and let their own reflection do the teaching. Some will awaken because of your presence. Others will flee from it. But either way, your purpose is fulfilled. The enemy will always try to make you believe you're the problem. But here's the truth. You're the revelation. You don't bring darkness. You reveal where it's hiding. That's why some can't be at peace around you. The more you evolve, the clearer the mirror becomes, and the harder it is for them to keep their masks on. You're watching people lose their composure, not because you did anything wrong, but because your very existence is calling their spirit to account. Chosen one, don't stop being the mirror. Let them see. Let them face themselves. Keep walking in truth with humility and strength. Your light isn't for validation, it's for transformation. And when they finally reach the point of breaking, when the illusion collapses, they'll remember you. They'll remember the mirror that once showed them who they really were. Now breathe deeply, because what comes next is powerful. In the next part, we'll talk about the unmasking, how your truth doesn't just reflect their fears, but completely shatters the illusions they live in. This is where their sanity begins to crumble, and your divine purpose becomes unmistakably clear. The unmasking truth destroys their illusions. Chosen one, when divine truth enters a space, illusions begin to fall apart. Masks crack, pretenses fail. Everything that's built on falsehood starts trembling, and you, being the vessel of truth, are often the reason that happens. You are not just a mirror anymore. You become an instrument of divine unmasking. Your light doesn't simply reflect, it reveals. And that revelation is what drives people to confusion, envy, and even madness. The world around you has built its peace upon lies. Lies about identity, success, love, and power. People wear masks to survive in systems built on deceit. But when you step in, walking with the vibration of truth, those masks can't stay intact. You may not say a word, yet something in your presence shakes their facade. They start to stutter, contradict themselves, or avoid eye contact. That's not just social awkwardness. That's the soul panicking. The illusion is cracking, and the false self is being exposed. Truth has always been a threat to deception. When Jesus spoke truth, the Pharisees called him dangerous. When prophets walked in truth, kings called them rebels. It's no different today. The chosen carry that same divine frequency, and it disrupts the comfortable lies of this world. When you walk in integrity, you unknowingly expose manipulation. When you speak with purity, deceit can't survive around you. That's why people who once celebrated you can suddenly turn cold, because your evolution unmasks their intentions. The unmasking often begins subtly. People's words don't match their energy. Their smiles feel empty. You start seeing through actions that used to fool you. The Holy Spirit sharpens your discernment, and suddenly what once looked like loyalty now reveals itself as control. That's not paranoia, chosen one. That's perception. You're not losing your mind. You're gaining clarity. And those still hiding behind lies will call your clarity arrogance. But in truth, it's spiritual vision. When truth collides with deception, something must give. And it's never the truth that breaks. That's why you'll see people spiral after being exposed to your presence. They start acting off, contradicting themselves, revealing their hidden envy, or even confessing things you never asked about. Their spirit can't maintain the mask in front of divine light. And the more they resist this exposure, the more their inner chaos grows. That's when sanity begins to slip, because their mind is at war with the truth their spirit already recognizes. Chosen one, this is why you must never underestimate your presence. You're not just different, you're divinely disruptive. You carry a light that makes deceit uncomfortable. You're the walking end of their illusion, and deep down, they know it. Some will lash out to regain control. Others will try to manipulate you into silence. They'll use guilt, mockery, or emotional games to make you question your perception. But that's just fear reacting to exposure. When truth steps in, deception always tries to rewrite the story. Here's what you must understand. Unmasking is not about revenge or humiliation. It's about revelation. God allows masks to fall because he wants everyone to see clearly. The truth will always reveal who's for you and who's against you, who's guided by light and who's fueled by darkness. When this happens, don't chase after the ones who fall away. Their exit is proof that your elevation is real. The unmasking doesn't destroy you. It protects you. It removes what was pretending to love you. You might feel lonely in this phase, but solitude during revelation is sacred. God isolates you so he can show you what others were trying to hide. During unmasking seasons, the divine teaches you to discern energy over appearance. People can fake words, but they can't fake frequency. You're learning to read the vibration behind the smile, to feel the intention behind the compliment. This level of spiritual sight is not a burden. It's armor. Now understand this deeply. When people's illusions start collapsing, they'll often project their chaos onto you. They'll accuse you of changing, acting superior, or being too deep. But that's just the voice of denial. They are not ready to admit that it's their masks that are breaking, not your authenticity. You've simply stopped pretending, and that threatens those who live comfortably in pretense. Their reaction is spiritual, not personal. You might even see people you once admired begin to crumble. Leaders, friends, even family. Suddenly their words sound hollow, their actions inconsistent. That's the unmasking spreading beyond your personal circle. It's the ripple effect of divine truth. Once light enters, Darkness can't hide anywhere. Don't mourn these revelations. Celebrate them. Every false mask that falls is clearing space for divine authenticity. Chosen one, this process can be painful. Watching illusions collapse means watching familiar things dissolve. Relationships, beliefs, habits. But remember, God doesn't remove anything real. What's falling apart was never meant to stay. You're being purified, elevated, and positioned. Truth destroys illusions so that what's eternal can stand. That's why after every unmasking, you'll feel lighter, clearer, more aligned. The world may call it losing people. Heaven calls it gaining freedom. Let me tell you this. Those who can't face your truth today will one day remember it. When their illusions fully shatter, they'll recall the peace and power you carried. Your authenticity will echo in their memory as the one moment they felt something real. That's the power of truth. It leaves an imprint that time can't erase. So don't shrink back, chosen one. Don't dim your light to protect their comfort. The unmasking is part of your divine assignment. You are not breaking their world. You are helping God rebuild it in truth. You may not see the results now, but heaven is using your obedience to awaken many. Every illusion destroyed makes room for revelation. And when they finally realize the truth, that their fake peace was built on lies and your peace was built on faith, that's when sanity starts to slip. Because they can no longer pretend. They can't unknow what your presence revealed. They can't unsee what your light exposed. That's why they're losing their grip. Not because you cursed them, but because truth can't coexist with deception. Stay calm during this divine chaos. Don't argue. Don't explain. Just keep walking in your assignment. Their illusion is dying, but your light is only growing stronger. You are the unmasking, and that's exactly why they're losing their sanity over your truth. Now listen carefully, because in the next section, we're going to go deeper. You'll understand why your awakening triggers spiritual warfare, and how the unseen world reacts violently when a chosen one begins to walk in divine truth. This is where the real battle begins. The battlefield of spirit and mind. The spiritual battlefield, why they fight what they don't understand. Chosen one, you must understand something vital. This isn't just about people disliking you. This is spiritual warfare. You're not fighting flesh and blood. You're confronting energies, spirits, and unseen forces that cannot stand the light of truth. When you awaken to who you are in God, you didn't just step into awareness, you stepped into battle. From the moment your spirit began to rise, the atmosphere around you began to shift. Have you noticed how some people suddenly grow cold towards you for no reason? How doors that were open start to close? It's not random, it's resistance. When divine truth begins to flow through you, darkness senses it, it recognizes you. The spirits that once felt comfortable in your presence now tremble because they know they're no longer hidden. You become a spiritual alarm in the realm. Your energy announces that light has entered the room. This is why so many chosen ones face strange, unprovoked attacks. You're being watched not just by people, but by principalities that operate through them. The enemy can't touch your soul, so he agitates minds around you. He uses envy, misunderstanding, and chaos as his weapons. You'll see people suddenly gossip about you, twist your intentions, or try to provoke your peace. But remember, they're not your true enemies. They're instruments being used by forces that fear your truth. Never waste your energy fighting them directly. The wise warrior doesn't argue with the possessed. They pray and stay still. Your silence is a shield. Your calmness is warfare. Every time you choose peace over reaction, heaven fights on your behalf. That's how the chosen ones win, not through shouting, but through spiritual alignment. When you hold truth, you carry authority. And authority intimidates those who live by manipulation. They can't control someone rooted in divine awareness. You see through the games, the deceit, the traps, and that infuriates the enemy, because as long as you stay awake, their illusions collapse. This is why spiritual attacks intensify when you're close to elevation. Right before your breakthrough, distractions multiply. That's not coincidence. That's the opposition panicking. But understand this clearly. God allows this battlefield to reveal your strength. You were never chosen to live an easy life. You were chosen to demonstrate divine power in a broken world. Every trial, every betrayal, every misunderstanding is training. You're learning to master spiritual warfare through discernment, patience, and faith. When you stop reacting and start responding from spirit, you've already won. Chosen one. This battle isn't always loud. Sometimes it's fought in silence, in isolation, in prayer. The enemy attacks your mind, whispering doubt, fear, and confusion. He tries to convince you that you're crazy, that you're alone, that your truth is too heavy to carry. But those thoughts are not your own. They're attempts to disconnect you from divine certainty. Remember this: when darkness can't touch your purpose, It tries to cloud your perception. Don't believe every thought that crosses your mind. Bring your focus back to God, back to peace, back to truth. You have divine authority to silence storms. When you speak life, it manifests. When you command peace, chaos obeys. Stop underestimating your voice. It carries weight in the spirit. When you walk in truth, even demons recognize your authority. That's why you've been feeling the resistance. Your awakening threatens their order. Listen closely, chosen one. You don't fight the world with words. You fight through vibration. Every time you pray, every time you forgive, every time you walk in love when hate surrounds you, you wage war. You disarm darkness through divine energy. That's why they can't figure you out. They expected you to break, but you became stronger. They expected you to lose faith, but your spirit deepened. They thought you'd retaliate, but you stood still and let God handle it. That kind of power confuses the enemy. It's the peace that surpasses all understanding. Don't ever think you're losing when you're quiet. Silence is the language of the spiritually mature. You're letting divine justice work. Those who rise against you without cause will fall by their own confusion. They are losing their sanity not because you curse them, but because they tried to fight someone who operates on a higher dimension of truth. Take this as wisdom. Not everyone is ready to understand your assignment. When you speak truth, some will think you're arrogant. Others will call you delusional because they can't perceive the spiritual reality you see. Don't waste your energy proving your calling. Those who are meant to recognize it will feel it without explanation. You're not here to convince. You're here to awaken. Now take a deep breath. Let this truth sink in. You are divinely protected. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Not in word, not in thought, not in energy. The same God who called you will cover you. You were not chosen to fear darkness, but to command it. Stand firm, pray with authority, move with purpose. And when the world reacts with confusion, know that heaven celebrates your clarity. If you felt that battle lately, the sudden heaviness, the strange tension, the unseen pressure, it's confirmation. You're shifting dimensions. Comment 333 right now if you're claiming victory over spiritual warfare. Declare it boldly. I am covered. I am chosen. I am unstoppable. Now, chosen one, in the next part, we're going even deeper because it's not just about surviving the battle. It's about understanding that your very existence is a prophecy. Your life itself is a divine message written by God. And that's the next truth they can't stand. In the following section, we'll uncover why your presence alone reveals divine purpose and why that's driving them to the edge of madness. Your presence is a prophecy. Chosen one, you must realize something sacred. Your very existence is a message from God. You are not simply living a life. You are fulfilling a divine prophecy written before you were even born. Every step you take, every revelation you receive, every moment of perseverance through darkness, all of it speaks of God's power to transform, to awaken, and to restore. You are living proof that divine purpose cannot be stopped. That's why your presence alone unsettles those who live in falsehood. You are a walking prophecy, and they can feel it. When you enter a room, spiritual frequencies shift. The air thickens because heaven recognizes one of its messengers has arrived. You don't have to announce yourself. Your energy does. That's why people either feel drawn to you or disturbed by you. Some feel peace, others feel panic. It's not about your words.